So for the beginning of our meeting, I just want to we've kind of talked over text and emails and things like that. I just want to kind of talk about what we each teach because we've kind of reviewed each other's stuff and all that. So some of us know what each other teach and where we teach and all of that. So I kind of wanted to just kind of put a face to a name and all of that first. Obviously, mine's not working right now, but I'm Kayla Clark. I am a middle school math teacher. I'm in the Charleston area, Charleston, South Carolina area. I teach at an art school, so a lot of my stuff you'll see kind of arts integrated. So that's kind of what I do. And then I run our Renaissance program at our school. So that's really the fun part of my job. Casey, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Casey Dover. I'm in Spartanburg, South Carolina, the Dorman U. Uh, if you've never been to Spartanburg, our school is we have a freshman campus. I'm at our freshman campus who has at least 1,000 kids. I've lost count, just freshmen. I teach science, and I feel like I'm the multi-purpose person on campus. But that's it. I envy you people that can teach younger people. Yeah. Sorry, that was a lot.
And then Chelsea, do you want to go?
I can. I'm Chelsea Hauser. I teach in Hickory, North Carolina, but I live in Cleveland County, so I'm directly in the middle of Spartanburg, Asheville, and Charlotte. So I do K2 special needs. So it's definitely a wild ride, but it's a lot of fun.
And then Bobby, you there? And then Sylvia, do you want to go ahead and go?
Sure. Thank you for pronouncing my name right. Most people don't get that
Hey,
right.
look at me! Yay! I was hesitant at first. I was like, oh.
Yeah. But like you, I'm also in Charleston, so that's interesting. I was wondering what are you at School of the Arts?
I'm at Barrington Middle School of the Arts. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm on the Navy base in Goose Creek. So I'm in Berkeley County.
You're Berkeley. Okay. I live in
Mhm.
Goose Creek, but I work in Charleston County. And I work at Mary Ford Early Learning and Family Center. So that campus holds infants 6 weeks up to kindergarten. We have two buildings on campus, and I am the director of the Head Start, Early Head Start program. So I supervise the infants through 3-year-old teachers in the program.
They were neighbors. I live in Goose Creek as well.
Small world.
And then, Bobby, can you hear us now? He's having volume issues. Okay. He's gonna leave and come back. So when he comes back, we'll get him to introduce himself. I'm just gonna kind of continue on because we'll have class after this. The next thing we want to talk about is our PLC meetings for task 1 and task 2. So first thing, these are kind of the questions. I'll just kind of let us go kind of in order that we just did. How is kind of bleeding your PLC? Is this the same model your school already uses for PLC? And if not, how did you introduce this model to your PLC? What were the high points of the meeting? What do you think you should have done differently in the meeting? And what did you learn from this PLC so far? There's Bobby.
How y'all? I don't know what was going on.
It's okay. If we just kind of introduced ourselves a little bit. So if you'll just kind of name, what do you teach? Where do you teach?
All right, so my name, of course, is Bobby Evans, and I currently work at South Robinson Middle School, and I'm the 6th to 8th grade physical education teacher. Prior to this year, I taught 7th grade social studies for 6 years at Littlefield Middle School, which is in Lumberton, North Carolina.
It's so wild. There's so many connections for me because, like, I'm from Cleveland County. I used to teach in Rutherford County, but I grew up in Fayetteville. So,
Really?
like, all y'all are talking, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like all the things. All right, it's so cool.
And I went to Fayetteville State. So I was in.
Nice.
Okay.
Very cool.
If I don't blur my background, my camera works. So just ignore the kitchen in the background, you know? Okay. So we kind of just went through PLC meetings. For my task 1 and task 2, I want to say leading my PLC meeting was fairly easy for me. I chose people to be on my PLC and they all agreed of people I had connections with in my school, who I already pretty much go to for resources and help, or I work with on a daily basis. So that part was pretty easy. Our school uses a different model, but it's almost the same model. So I didn't really have to introduce anything new. I just compared the two. I was like, okay, in this model, it's this, but in our model, it's this. So I kind of compared and contrasted where things are different. In our meetings, I think the high point was we were communicating really well. And then in our second meeting, when we did our data dive, I did Dunkin' into data and did Dunkin' Donuts. So data and donuts. So I brought snacks, which was really fun. And we all enjoy a nice donut on a, Wednesday afternoon, because that's when we all could meet. I think differently, I essentially probably would have more time with my PLC. We just feel like we don't have enough time. And it's because all of our schedules are just a little chaotic. We also we have our annual fundraiser going on at school right now. So it was just kind of a hard time to fit everything. And then so far, I've learned a lot about our school and then about myself, as like I'm really starting to shift my mindset of like admin mindset, through the task 1 and task 2, looking at policies and data and where is our school needing things and what should we be doing and things like that. So it's kind of where my PLC meetings have gone. We have another one tomorrow, so I'll get to see them again. All right, Casey.
So we don't really do PLCs in Spartanburg District 6. We just sort of meet with our people as needed for various reasons. And I don't know if that's just because it's high school level or what. But we've been wanting to like vertically align because there's a lot of gaps that our kiddos are missing in skill sets and content. So I thought, what better opportunity than to do it this way? So there's two teachers from the main campus, our main campus, which is 10, 12, 2 of us from the freshman campus, and then 2 people from like the district office level, like our secondary education person at the district office and our science coordinator. And so our first meeting, I was really nervous about because typically people forget that the freshman campus exists, unless they need something from us. So I was really kind of worried about the main campus like taking over and just being like, we need this, this, and this done, and with no negotiations. But it was all really, we were all on the same page, and it was really, nice to be able to have a conversation and not have to, and it to be student centered and like, okay, what is our goal, what is our purpose, like going through this particular model. It was really nice, and we came to a conclusion really, really a lot faster than I thought we were going to. The data dive was easy because we kind of divided and conquered. But it was kind of funny because we all kind of came to the same conclusions, even though we had different data, and it was just a really smoother process than I thought it was going to be. So I keep waiting for like that hurdle to jump over at some point. But all in all, like I don't think I could have asked for a better situation going into this. And eventually, like long term goal, we're eventually going to like include more teachers from our departments, and so we can get more brains, in on this process. But that's kind of where I'm at in my PLC. Did I forget anything? I can't remember. Sorry, I'm distracted by my children. Um,
That sounded
I
good. We're
forgot.
just kind
Yeah, that
of
was
just
it.
reflecting how it was leading, how you're going, how you're grooving with that.
That's
That sounds cool.
we're all
I like
great.
that you
It's
have
all
district
good.
people in there. That's really nice. Um, Chelsea, do you want to go with yours?
I can. So overall, my school did use the PLC model. So as soon as I walked into our teacher leadership specialist, our curriculum person, she knew exactly what I was talking about. She had like the textbooks and all the stuff to like back all that up. So we were able to have a very brief conversation to start with. So my master's is in curriculum as well. So we built off all that to try to decide where we wanted to start before we brought in other people into the PLC. So I was able to get my administrator, my interventionist, and my guidance counselor on board, which helped because we had all the perspectives. So we have EC, the kids going through MTSS, and the other kids like um, attendance concerns, which was not our main focus, but still that factors in to achievement in the end. So that all worked with us. Overall, leading the PLC has been easy. All of us are pretty tight knit at my school, so we were all friends to begin with. So we're not afraid to lay it all out there and hurt each other's feelings if we need to, if we don't agree with what they're saying. Um, which I think can be hard, especially if you're working with people you're not overly confident about shutting down an idea or saying, I don't think that's exactly our most pressing need right now. So we were all very honest with each other, told each other kind of how we felt about things. Before we got started, we kind of talked about what a pressing need could be so we could see how like far off base we were when we got to the actual most pressing need at the end. As far as doing things differently, I'm like Casey right now, everything's going good. So I'm kind of waiting on something to like hit the fan and go wrong. But for right now, we're moving right along. And so leading the PLC, it's just been nice because I don't get to participate in those because I'm pulling groups. So I miss a lot between the grade levels. So I've been able to catch up on a lot of information through them that I wouldn't know otherwise.
Yeah, that's really nice. Our district is implementing that our special education teachers actually attend a PLC of grade levels like once a week and like switch grade levels this year when they can,
Yeah,
obviously.
we've tried in the past, but with schedules, it's just never worked out.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Thousands of things they have to
It's hard.
do. What's one more, right?
Yeah, and it's hard. Our district is switching from Enrich to Ed Plan this year. So they're doing that transition too. So I'm like, more power to you. All right. Sylvia, did you like to go?
Yes. So, leading the PLC has been going pretty well. This model is very similar to what we've been doing. We have been implementing PLC, or attempting to implement it the Dufour way for a few years, and we once a week we hold PLC meetings. Each grade level holds the meeting, including our academic arts team, and there is a team lead or grade level chair who typically holds the meetings. Our meetings in the month go there's in a cycle. So the first week may be math, the next week may be literacy, then we may look at behavior, then we may look at data, kind of rotate that way. And then even though we have a lead, we have a PLC lead for math and a PLC lead for literacy when it comes to our 3K, 4K, and 5K teachers. The only thing that's a little different that I would like to implement is more of a cycle, like if we're starting with math, I would like to cycle that through and then maybe pick up literacy. I'm not quite sure how that would work. But at any rate, it's going pretty well. And I probably would add a few other just teachers in because right now, because of my job and the time restraints, and I'm usually sitting in on all the PLC meetings. It's mainly admin, and then we have one um, classroom teacher. I would like to have a teacher from each grade level to our PLC for this particular PLC.
Yeah, I know nothing about those grades, so you got me there. You have more patience than I do. All right, Bobby, tell us about yours.
All right, so leading my PLC was pretty cool. A little what's the word I want to use? What what a makeup of my PLC team included my principal, assistant principal, academic coach, and a 30-year teacher. So of course I felt like amongst the group I had the least amount of experience in terms of PLCs. But the good thing is I have a pretty close relationship with all of them, which is why I chose them. Would have preferred to have more teachers, but last year we had a lot of substitutes, and this year we got kind of a whole new staff of first year teachers. So um, if I could have changed anything, that's kind of what I would have changed. I'm just being able to have a little bit more teachers present. But like I said, in terms of leading the PLC, because of the relationship we have, while I felt a little intimidated, it has went on pretty well. They've been open and listening and sharing their ideas and thoughts, which have made this process a whole lot smoother. In terms of the model, our school does use this model. The one thing I can say is in terms of the PLC and how it's run, that is typically how, the way I do hours is the way it's typically done every week for the grade level. So again, just being able to see something and be familiar with it and then implement it myself, that definitely helped, and that definitely helped in the process. Now, in terms of the data dive, again, because of the many substitutes, a lot of the programs that our school got used to were underutilized, which is why even for the task, a lot of the data that I use came just from the EOGs or EVOS, because other programs like SchoolNet and things of that nature, uh, our students weren't exposed to last year. Uh, the high points, like I said, is having a lot of the administration. I know they are concerned with the tests, the scores for the school. So I know in terms of the makeup of the team, it's people who all looking for the school to grow across the boards. In terms of the most pressing need, I talked to the principal quite a bit before we started meeting just to kind of see what his thought process was. And after doing the data dive and things of that nature. He was definitely spot on. Seventh grade math, it is, it is tough. Because he got me observing a math class now. Since we started the PLCs, and you know, sitting in there sometimes, I'm like, wow, the research. And then seeing the students, I'm like, yeah, it really does align. I'm seeing it, for myself in action. So I think that also has helped. But like I said, overall, it's going really well. And I'm just looking forward to being able to say we got this APSL completed.
Yes. Actually, Bobby, you led into like literally what we're talking about next is the data type. So you all pretty much covered everything that we're talking about next. So you're done. And I get where your seventh grade math is coming from because that's what I teach. So yes, seventh grade math is it's a big one. I've taught it for 6 years. It's my sixth year, so I love it though. So our next kind of topic, real quick, to talk about is our data dive, which was mainly tasked to kind of what went well, what did you learn about your data, kind of like was something surprising about the available data, the types of data, interesting facts. Um, so how did you get there? Like share how you got to your most pressing need, and then did you have to redirect any of your PLCs? And if so, what kind of conversation did you lead, like to redirect that conversation? Um, I'll start with my PLC was like we kept to our minutes and like our agenda of what we needed. So we didn't really have to redirect, so I didn't have to do that. Um, and when we do in like normal PLCs, because I lead another PLC at my content PLC. At school, we just kind of refer back to that agenda every time. All right, next item on the agenda. Um, with my data that we collected the school report card from 2 years ago because that was the most recent. Then iReady is a benchmark testing that we take, and we just took it in August, so I use that one. And then SC Ready is the state test at the end of the year, so I use that one from last year. So those were kind of the 3 points that we looked at. All 3 points were student progress in math. And then specifically, we narrowed it down because iReady has categories to number and operations. So we kind of looked at the data that it was school student progress was our downfall on a report card, then went to SC Ready and iReady scores are lower in math than in English, and then looked one step further and made it into a category. Where should we focus? And number and operations was lower, and it's the basis to everything else. So that's where we are starting for our most pressing need. So that's how our data dive went. And like I said, I brought donuts, so we were all happy and doing data, which is where my love language is. I love to do spreadsheets and data, so I
And
like
food
to
always
test.
helps.
Yes. We had I I found it easy to do all the data and the charts and stuff. The other parts I'm like struggling with, but we're getting there. All right, Casey, would you tell us about your data dive?
Oh boy, did we look at data. So much data. I am not a numbers person. I teach science, which means I should be a number person. But anyway, so we pulled data from the most recent biology EOCs, which was 2023-24. Um, a lot of it was readily available on the South Carolina Department of Ed website. There were a couple of things that were not available, so we just used what we had. But I started looking at demographics, and there was really like it's really hard to address like demographic like discrepancies within the data. So like that was I scrapped, we scrapped that idea. Not that it was ever really an idea. Then we looked at like I found where there's a breakdown of the major like I guess we could call them competencies, like the big areas in the standards that get categorized a little bit, and it wasn't the most missed category, but it was up there was like basic science and engineering processing skills. Like kids can't read graphs, kids can't interpret data, kids struggle with even basic skills like measurement and things like that. So, sorry, hold on one second. Sorry, we're avoiding hospital trips. um, things of that nature. So like, and it was pretty unanimous across the board because like I see it with our freshmen, our main campus teachers, like, yes, that is a huge skill set that our kids are missing. And we kind of decided like that's where our area of focus was going to be, because there was several data points that pointed in that direction. Because if they can do those kind of skills, the content will come. Um, and so we took that and we're looking at moving forward in, what are our best practices, what are our ways that we can fill that need, and then go, we're working on an action plan eventually this week to fill those gaps and see where we can proceed and move forward. So I'm interested to see. I'm kind of like Chelsea. I was like, I keep waiting for the thing to hit the fan. I'm like, please keep going smoothly. I can't afford for anything to not keep going smoothly. So, but it's almost like a false sense of security too, because it feels like it's almost too easy. Um, but it's not say easy, but it's just going really, really well. And we've all been on board. Like we didn't even argue about what the most pressing need was. Like there was no debate. We knew exactly what it was. So that's been super helpful. And we did all of that with no donuts. But I'm gonna take a leaf out of your book and do that next time.
Hey, it's a great treat at the end of a day on a Wednesday. I'm just saying. All right, Chelsea. Also, we have 7 minutes and 40 seconds of our recording.
Sounds great. As far as my data, it was a little tricky because at my school we don't have end of grade testing, so our school report card is based off of our 3-5 partner school. So our rating is their rating. Whatever they get, we get. So with us, we first started with the 3rd grade class of last year's just reading proficiency. We wanted to see where they finished their first year at their new school. And we knew there were some issues there, especially this was like our COVID crew of kids and that had been through us. So we knew they were going to be lower. And then we moved on. So we do DIBELS as our main form of assessment for reading. So we looked at by grade level, where was the largest group of kids that wasn't at least 50% proficient in a skill. So it was letter sounds for that was the big thing. We have a lot of students who have a lot of outside factors that impact their school performance. So they're coming in and they're more worried about, I didn't have dinner last night, or I'm wearing the same clothes for 3 days in a row and people are noticing. So all those things are adding up for them. And so reading is kind of what's impacted the most right now. So moving from there, we had some correlation data. So meaning we looked at if 50% of the grade was well below at the beginning of the year, how many of them were able to meet benchmark by the end? So we had small percentages of the groups moving up, but not enough for where we felt like we were doing our best work there. So kind of coming into the PLC, we all had an idea that letter sounds would be our biggest impact area, but we wanted to prove it to ourselves and to everybody else. So when we start moving forward, there is a reason for that. We didn't really need redirected because we were all concerned about it to begin with. We just needed to find all those data points to back it up from both the Southwest and the Longview perspective together, since we're a split campus.
Sylvia, do you want to go too? I'm
Yeah,
interested to see your data.
I'll try to make this quick. Yeah, so because we're early learning center and kindergarten is the highest grade level, that is the data that we analyze. That's our money maker. That's where our funding comes from. And so we have 2 major assessments that kindergartens take, beginning, middle, and end of the year, and that's Fast Bridge and it's iReady. A couple of years ago, we determined that we needed the coaches. I was a coach, a math coach last year, So we determined that the coaches needed to actually test the fast breeds in students instead of the teachers to make sure our data was accurate. And then we also have iReady beginning, middle, and end of the year. So we first analyzed the data from last year, and we looked at the trends for the past since we've become an early learner center. So that's the past 4 years, to see what was our most pressing need for that data, and it turned out to be math. And so then we took the data from this year, beginning of the year, Fast Bridge and IRB, and it was math and number and operations. So just like Kayla, even though kindergarten and you teach upper grades, that's still the lowest. So I wasn't very surprised by the data, but what I was surprised at is that even though it's the lowest, we scored pretty high for the beginning of the year, even though it's low, it was lower compared to the reading. So not much redirection. We're just kind of diving deeper into that data for specific number sense, and we use OGAP. So, which is the ongoing assessment project, and we have a lot of new staff this year, so we have to get them retrained in the OGAP strategy. So, we're really going to focus on small group instruction.
We're using OGAP too.
Oh, I love OGAP.
I'm going to my training. I got some training last year. I'm getting the rest of my training in the spring.
Is that with
Because
Beth?
I'm not sure.
Okay, probably she's the OGAP lady, Beth Holbert.
Probably that name
Anyway,
sounds familiar.
yeah,
I
that's
think she
probably.
came to our school.
Mhm.
So then just the last thing is like, what's something that you've discovered during task 1 and task 2 about yourself? And do you have anything else you would like to share? If no, then we can stop our recording there.